Hello there guys, and welcome back to our car modeling tutorial. And in this episode today we are going to work on the rest of our alloy wheel and brakes. So hopefully in this episode here we'll get the majority of this done and into the car, and then we can talk about maybe do one more episode afterwards showcasing the car in its final form. What we're going to do first is we are going to throw in the actual outer section of our wheel here, and we can do that by using a poly pipe. Now, as part of this pipe here, we're going to want to make sure that firstly we take the thickness right down. So if we open up our pipe attributes here, we'll take our thickness down. We'll maybe say 0.05. Hopefully that'll be okay. Looks like it should be fine. And we're going to crank these subdivisions up to 80. The reason we're going to do that is because we don't really want to have to smooth this. It should be fine as it is. And then we can rotate that around on that x-axis of 90 degrees. And then it's just going to be a case of scaling this up. Because it looks like it's still a little bit too thick, but that's fine for now. So we're going to scale this up, and we're just going to scale it up until it just starts to eat the tyre slightly. So you can see that's just ever so slightly affecting the tyre just there, and then we're going to bring it in, so maybe just about there should be fine. So what we want to do is firstly adjust this thickness, so we're going to grab all of these edges and these edges here, and we're going to scale these up just about there. That looks good, and then we'll maybe just go inside slightly. So it looks now like we want to just bring this section in. So we want this just to overlap ever so slightly there. Not quite that much. Okay, it's looking good. So with this tyre here, we do want to have a little, well, with the inside of the wheel here, we do want to have something happening. So we are going to grab our mesh tools, we're going to insert an edge loop, and we're going to drop one roughly about here. Should be fine. And it can drop another one just about 3/4 of the way down. And we'll select all of these faces here. And in our front view, what we're going to do is we can see that what we want to do is bring it down to these edges here. So we're going to bring this all the way down to this first kind of lip, and we're just going to scale in just so it disappears behind our actual element from the previous episode, so that looks pretty good. And what we want to do now is we want to insert another edge loop. This time we'll go just a little bit more inset, and we'll grab all those faces, and we're just going to do the same again. Back into our front view here, and we're just going to grab the scale tool and we're going to bring it down all the way here. And then what we'll do is we'll just scale in on our z-axis here, just so again we're not protruding through the actual wheel itself. Maybe take it down just a little bit there. Okay, that looks good to me. So we've got that section there looking pretty good. So that's the wheel there, in my opinion, is looking pretty good. Hopefully yours is looking pretty good too. So we're not going to need to smooth this, that should be fine as it is, the actual outer section there. Looks good. So what we're going to want to do now is create the actual brakes themselves. So the brakes on this car, as we can see from the image here, are ceramic brakes, it looks like to me, and then we've got a nice big 4-port caliper there. Now the example I've got on the image here is just a basic Brembo 4-piston brake caliper here, which should work fine. We could maybe model it together and just make it a little bit fatter just to represent the Lamborghini one here. I've got a perspective image up here so we can see what it is that we're working with in terms of the side-on view. So what we're going to do first is we are going to create our disc. Now we're not going to be too detailed here. I mean, we was more detailed on the wheel than we probably would have to be. because at the end of the day on my model I know that they'll be black. So what we'll do with this disc here is, again, we're just going to want to make sure that we don't need to smooth this, so maybe we'll boost this up to, we'll go 80 again for that. We're going to rotate this around nicely on our x-axis. And what we're going to do here is we're going to be scaling this up enough just to cover the size of the disc in there. And then obviously we're going to want to scale this down. These brake discs aren't that fat, so we'll bring it down, something like that. So that looks fine. Now, if you want to go super realistic, we could go for the actual vents. So these are what are called ventilated discs. We can see that they're drilled, just like the ones that we've got here. Now we're not going to have the drills, the drilled holes. That would be something that we would add in with the textures. And we're not going to add the ventilated section in the middle either. So we're going to leave these roughly fairly basic just in there, because you're probably not going to see it too much behind anyway. So we're going to hit Ctrl D on this, we're going to duplicate this, and we're going to bring this forward. And this is going to be the actual hub section, which goes just underneath here. Now again, we can see that we've got some Allen keys inside there, and some washers and some actual brackets and things. We're not going to model that in, because again, that's details that really isn't required for what I'm going to be using this model for. So what we'll do with this is we'll just drop that in place just on top here. Now, what I'm going to do with this is I want to bring these edges in a little bit more. So just so that we can hide a little bit back there. So what we can do at this point here is we can add some shades to this wheel. So we're going to open up Hypershade Editor here. Let's just move this back out. So let's just make some quick materials for this. Firstly, we're going to create 2 blends. And one of these here we're going to make fairly dark and turn the specular right down, and that's what we'll add to the tire. So we can right click the middle mouse, we can click the middle mouse button here, sorry, and we'll drag that onto the actual tire there so we can see. That looks pretty good. And then this second blend here, we're going to make a little bit darker and just a bit more specular to it, so it's nice and shiny. And this is going to be the actual alloy itself. So we can drag that on there. And we can drag that onto the interior bit as well. Now, what we'll do, just for a nice differentiation of elements, we will select a new Lambert and we'll just make this red. That'll be fine. And I'm going to apply that to this here, and I'm also going to apply this to the brake caliper when we come to do that. What we're going to do real quick though is make the actual nuts, and these are just going to be again incredibly basic. We're going to create a cylinder here, and we are going to change its subdivisions from 20 to 6, so it's nice and hexagonal. I'm going to rotate this around again, go 90 degrees on this. We just want to pull this into position here for our actual lug section. And we can hold V and we can actually snap that exactly into the point there. And we'll scale this down. We want to scale it down enough so that theoretically you could actually get an actual tire rod inside there. Let's just bring that out for now. Okay, so that looks okay to me. What we're going to do with this is we're going to grab the edges. We're going to select all of the edges for this, and we will actually don't want to select any of these edges. We just want everything on the outside. We're going to hit Edit Mesh and Bevel. what we can do here is we can hold down our middle mouse button here, or we can actually click into type and hold down the middle mouse button on these numbers and adjust them. And maybe we'll go for 0.2, and then we'll boost up these segments here just so it's nice and round. Maybe 4 should do us. So we can see that we've just got a nice little rounded edges to that now. We can drag that back into position here. Sounds pretty good. And what we can do with this is we can hold D and X, and we can pull this pivot down, snap it to the middle here, and that will allow us to just hit edit, duplicate special, and with the exact same settings that we had beforehand, that will drop those into position nicely for us. So that looks pretty good inside there. So now what we're going to want to do is we are going to want to model the brake caliper. Now again, we're not going to go too detailed on this. We are going to use a basic plane, I think, just to go around this shape here, and then we can just extrude in a few times in order to create the basic shape. Again, our wheels are fairly bulky here, so we're not really going to see too much of it. So we will bring in a plane, and let's bring this out. We're going to take all of our subdivisions down for this. I'll have one on the width, and we'll have one on the height as well. And what we'll also want to do is want to get this rotated so that we can use it around here on the x-axis. Okay, looks like I accidentally undid that. Let's do that again. So, what we'll do here is we will start from this edge just here. Now this is going to be pretty rough. We're not going to go too nuts with this. So we'll drag that around here. Drop that there. So it's just going to be a case of using the exact same methods before. So we'll extrude this up. And again, for the majority of the time, we're going to be using the world option. And what I'm actually just going to do here is I'm just going to pull a few points up. I'm just going to drop them in the key areas as we go around. So get there. Go up here. So just going to do this incredibly rough. And again, there'll be brake lines going into this, but no point is really going in that much detail at this stage. Bring that down and drop that in. So we want this to look good, so we're going to compromise a little bit, but we still want it to look pretty decent. So what I'm aiming to do here is just to land on these edges here, and in between we will add a little bit extra geometry where we need it. Okay, so if we use our mesh tools here, we'll insert some edge loops, maybe soften that off, maybe add one here, maybe throw in two there, one more here, and maybe one more here as well. And I'm just going to work on putting these into position a little bit nicer. Okay, and what we'll do is we will extrude this edge out just a little bit here. And then we'll try and just get a little bit of curvature on here. Just like that, that'll be fine. Okay, so we've got a really basic outline of the actual section here. And what I will do is we'll delete this last face, because once we've got it put together here a little bit, we can then duplicate anyway. So we'll grab all of these edges on the top. We'll hit Control E and we'll pull them up just about there. Pull them up in this direction as well, just a little bit. And then we're going to pull them in just ever so slightly there. Quite that much, something like that. Looks like it could be fine. And then what we'll want to do is we will grab these edges specifically and extrude these out. Pull these roughly into position just to kind of emulate what we have up here. Okay. And then we'll do the same with the edges just here. Pull these all the way up and out. Pull those down, just get these down a little bit as well. Okay, looks pretty good. What we'll do now with all of these edges selected is we will grab them. I'm going to hit Control E. I'm just going to pull out and up again. I'm just going to drop back just a little bit. Maybe a little bit more. I'm going to hit Control E again. We'll go in a little bit more significantly there. And then we'll hit Control E again and go in a little bit more, just like that. Looks like what we need to do at this point is we want to create this kind of little section here. So we'll do that by extruding out on this face. So maybe we'll extrude these faces here. So we'll hit Control E on those. It's fine enough there, we can pull these out on its own orientation. We'll delete the inside faces here. And we'll do the same with the ones that it's actually going to merge to. So it's the lower face on here. So we can delete that one. And then we'll want to do the same with the face up here and delete this one. And now what we'll do is we will grab our vertices here and merge them to this section. So we can edit mesh, merge, and again snap here. We can edit mesh and merge. We'll also want to delete their rear faces here as well. And same story. I'm going to drag these points, hold V down here and here. We'll just merge these two, like so. And then in our side view we can pull these points into position. So we've got a little bit of depth to this, so even though we're making it fairly basic, we're still looking at some of the details here that we're working with quite nicely. So then it looks like we want to do something similar here. So grab, I think what we want to do this time is we want to grab these faces. So let's just make sure that we're not going too far along. I think that one should be fine. Here and here. So we'll grab these, we'll hit Ctrl E, and we're just going to extrude these out. And the exact same as we did a second ago, we'll delete the faces here on the inside, so that's not going to cause us a problem. We'll delete the faces on the back, because I still think we'll smooth this, even though we haven't got a great amount of detail on there. And we will bring these again into position here by holding V, and we'll merge them. Exact same again, and then finally here, we can edit mesh and merge, and we're just going to just adjust the positions here so that they're sat looking good, something like that. Okay, that's good, and it's got quite a few different depths to it, so it's not going to be too boring to look at, even though we've gone fairly basic. So that's looking good. And what we'll do with this is we will grab all of these edges here, grab all of these. I'm just going to pull them just across like so. And then what we'll want to do with this is we're going to want to duplicate this. So Control D, Control G. We're going to want to do this on the Z axis of -1. I'm going to bring this across. So this is going to be essentially the back section to that. Yeah, so that's what we'll end up doing. So before we do that, let's just block this whole thing off. So we'll need now to extrude this edge. We'll actually want to maybe grab all of these edges down here. And we'll hit Control E. We're just going to bring these all the way out here, just to roughly match what we have. And we're going to insert some edge loops to this, so we will insert an edge loop just to match what we have already, so we can merge these sections quite nicely. So we'll bring this point up here, this point up here, and here. Okay, and that will allow us, because inside here what we all actually want is to have brake pads. So this isn't actually a completely flush section. Now we're not going to add the brake pads in, but we could at least facilitate them inside here. So we'll grab all of these points. Hope we haven't got anything else selected, and we're just going to pull that in. Looks like I've missed one just here. And missed quite a few down the bottom actually. Let's grab those real quick. There we go. And we'll just pull that in just a little bit here, like so. Maybe these parts just here. Along with these edges here, maybe just give it a little bit more depth to that front section, because a brake caliper would never be quite this thin. So we'll grab all those there and we'll just pull that, something like that. That's looking good. What we will do is we'll just add a few small pipes inside here. Let's jump into our front view. Just have one inside here. We'll duplicate that by hitting Ctrl D. Drop that up there. Again, Ctrl D, and we'll bring one around here. Just for a little bit more depth. Okay, it's looking good. So we're going to hit Ctrl D, Ctrl G, and we're going to duplicate this on the y-axis. We're going to hit -1. Put that on the x. The y-axis here, we'll go -1. Okay. So what we'll want to do is pull this down just a little bit here. Just do a quick job here at combining, so we'll mesh combine, and then we're just going to merge all of these points here together. Again, because we're not too detailed, don't need to make sure that this is perfect. Okay, looks good to me. And then we can Ctrl D, and we can bring this one down just there. So what we'll do is we will smooth this as well. What I am going to do as well is I'm just going to scale that out just a little bit so it's a bit more robust. We also need to duplicate this one here. And what we'll do with this now is we are going to smooth it. So we're just going to throw in some quick edge loops around the model here to maintain integrity. So we'll drop those around here. Go here. Now we're not going to be too careful with this, we're not going to be too fussy, but we will try and maintain a lot of the edges here. Yeah, let's just see how that looks real quick under smooth. Yeah, that looks fine to me, so we can see here that we've got the basic kind of shape, which is looking pretty good. So we're going to Ctrl D, Ctrl G, and on the Z-axis here, Z-axis, we're going to hit -1, and we'll just pull this in just about here. So the disc would be in between there, along with everything else. Now the pads would be inside here, so we can hit 3 on this, hit 3 on this, and smooth those out. But what I will do is I'm going to grab all of this and let's not do that actually. Let's these here, we can group them together real quick, and we can modify center pivot. What we'll do here is we're just going to get this into position. You can see that what we will actually do is we'll duplicate this, so we can keep a spare one there should we need it. Because what we actually do want to do with this is we do want to make it a little bit far there. We'll rotate it around just a little bit here. We can drop that in just there. Okay. And if we pull that into position, just inside the wheel here, probably want to try and get, you can actually see, we'll want to try and get that nicely in the middle there, so that looks fine. What we'll probably do with this as well is inside our hypershade, again just to differentiate it from everything else, we can make these bits here red and these bits here make a nice shiny black. Okay, so we can see now that that setup there is looking pretty good. Cool. Okay guys, so we'll leave this episode here. I think we'll just have one more episode. In the next episode we'll talk about putting the tyres in the actual position on the car, the difference between these wheels and the wheels on the car. We'll look at the pivots and make sure that we've got them exactly where we need them to be, and we'll talk about the suspension setup and all that good stuff. So we'll leave it to the next one. The next one will probably be the final episode, so hopefully you guys will be pretty close to finishing along with me. And please like and subscribe to the channel, and we'll be back shortly.